though.
Yeah. That's who just rolled in, actually.
Yeah, I mean, what she did is amazing. So I'll probably have to jump on with her and start doing those again. But we are live with Matt and Martie Burnett out of Tennessee. How you guys doing today?
Hey, we're doing great.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know you guys are super busy running the Burnett Group out there, and so appreciate y'all's time. And hopefully you guys have better weather than us because we keep getting pounded with snow. I'm over it. So
yeah, no snow here.
We won't rub it in. It's only 60 today.
Yeah.
All right, I need some 60-degree weather. I just got back from Disney World with my daughter, and I'm like thinking about moving back to Florida.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, so just want I know a lot of people have heard your story before. You came on with Jay and Ashley Nelson out of Tennessee, and you guys pop bottles and champagne, and it's an exciting night. But kind of want to just hear your guys' background, a little bit. How'd you guys get into real estate? How long you guys been doing it? And what does that journey really look like? And it was a lot different than what it is now, right? People jumping in now during I know a ton of agents that jumped during COVID, and I was like, man, I'm glad I got in a year before that. So
yeah, right.
But yeah, so how'd you guys get started?
I got started right after college. I graduated with a finance degree and decided I didn't want to wear a suit every day. So I got into building houses. So I started my first house, and that was about 21 years ago. I enjoyed it and built another one and built another one and built another one. And after a few of those, I had decided to get my real estate license as well. So I did that, and I joined a small RE/MAX in that little town. Worked as a builder / realtor for my own properties for a while. That was kind of tough, trying to wear all of those hats. Marty came along a few years after that. We got married, and
best year of his life.
Yeah,
it's been downhill ever since. No,
did you guys meet through the builder process, or like?
No, we didn't actually. We were set up by our parents.
Oh,
it was arranged.
It was an arranged marriage. Yeah, that is a story for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, I mean, if we got time, but no. So Marty, were you looking to get into real estate, or was it kind of like Matt drug you through, like, hey, come along, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I was actually, I had graduated from MTSU, which is Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, just outside of Nashville, and come back home and gone to work for a family friend. I was running his luxury used car dealership. And so, I was doing that. I was making great money and was super happy. When Matt and I decided to get married, anybody who's ever been in the car business knows how demanding that is. So once we got married, he was like, we can't do this anymore. And so he
Friday nights till 9 or 10 o'clock at the car lot, I'm sitting around waiting, trying to go eat dinner. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, it was fun. So he was like, you know what? I need a realtor. Why don't you come get your license? Work with me. He had, his license, but that got a little overwhelming. So he started working with another agent in town, and we're actually really good friends with him, Chris Simpkins. He's an amazing guy, great agent. It's funny, we joke now. He's always like, you're the reason I lost my job with Matt. But so I went in and got my license and started working, with Matt. And I retired from the car industry and got into real estate. So that's how it all started.
That was 16 years ago.
Yeah, it's in between 16 and 17.
Yeah,
because we're fixing to have 18.
You're better than me, Matt. I'm terrible with dates. I'd be like, yeah, we met a year ago, right? It's been 5 years, but
yeah.
I'm the one that does that. I'm so bad with time lapse.
Yeah. So when you guys got into real estate, I know Marty was a little bit when you got in, Marty, was it an easy road for you? Was it an easy transition?
No, not at all. And when I got my license, I'd also joined a RE/MAX. We had some dear family friends, still really great friends with them today. Love them to death. They're wonderful people. Had grown up in real estate. And, that's who I always, when I thought of real estate, I thought of them. That's Mike and Lindy Gahn, wonderful, amazing people. They owned a RE/MAX in Hendersonville. So I went straight to them. I was like, hey, I want to get into real estate. Jump right in. Of course, they were running a really great, successful business as well. Lots of agents. And they were wonderful. RE/MAX, though, for me, just didn't have a lot of tools. Not a lot of support there. My support came from the people that I knew, which was great, that I had that. But like with Matt, he went to RE/MAX as well. That was, I guess, RE/MAX then was probably like the up and coming.
It was the thing.
It was the thing, it was the place to be, but they didn't have a lot of resources. They had a name and they had marketing, but there weren't a lot of resources there. So it was tough for me getting started. Thank goodness Matt had been in the industry, had his license, because he was able to help me, along with, Mike and Lindy. Like, they were wonderful. But as far as like growing our business and resources, RE/MAX just did not have that. And so Matt and I were, we're kind of on our own. We built a really great business. When I got in, the market was really, really good. And I was working with Matt, so I was selling his properties. Didn't have a ton of training through RE/MAX, though, to tell me how to get things done. So when the market shifted on us, we were kind of like, what do we do now? What do we do now?
Like the shift in 2007, 2008, 2009. Okay.
I remember very well about September of 2007, because we've been working just all we could do to build houses, because they were selling before we could finish them. And all of a sudden, I looked up, me and Marty were like, what's happened? Because it's like somebody turned the lights off, because the buyers are there. We got 13 houses on the ground with no buyers. What are we going to do now?
It was like, and I do remember, I remember it so vividly, but I remember Matt saying, as things were progressing, there's no way we can keep this up. The prices kept going up because the labor was going up, the materials were going up. So the prices of houses were going up really quickly. And Matt's like, there's no way we can sustain this. And then I remember getting up that day, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and we're like, what in the heck, just happened. And
cool.
It was,
you can say whatever you want out there.
I didn't know if I was supposed to say a cuss word on here, but anyway, it was crazy. We looked at each other, and we were young in the business and had much, much, much success at this point. We were dead in the water. It was crazy. I remember we had 13 homes completed.
I kind of want
Zero buyers.
We rented some, we sold them at loss. We did anything at all we could to try to move those houses over the next few months. And we still had a lot of lots. We had to do some of those lots too. And all of our the economists and bankers we dealt with at the time were nobody knew what was happening, but they were all predicting we're going to see a downturn for 6 months to a year, maybe, then it'll come back. And that's kind of what we were expecting.
18 months later, with Matt having zero paycheck for 18 months, employees, when it hit, we told them, look, you got to think about your family. If you can find another job, forget about us, forget about a 2-week net. Like, you do what you've got to do. We were doing everything that we could to continue paying our people, and at the same time telling them, hey, you got to do what you got to do. And that went on when we realized it was not coming to an end anytime soon. We told them, do what you got to do, and everybody was, luckily got placed somewhere. And then it was just Matt and I, and looking at each other. We were selling company vehicles. We were selling tools. We were selling equipment, everything
out the back. Everything we had got sold.
Everything was for sale, short of us and our son. And I'm not sure there weren't days that we may not have considered that. It was a painful, painful time. Super humbling, learned a ton,
But came out of that with some really great banking relationships, because we never missed a payment. That was the payments got paid. We didn't eat.
There might have been days. We got to thank my sister and brother-in-law for that. We would literally go call them, and we'd be like, hey, what are y'all having for dinner? Can we come over and eat? I'm not joking.
Some ramen noodles or something.
They fed us. And my sister and brother-in-law probably fed us 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3, 4 nights a week. We just go over there and eat dinner and whatever. It was just like buying groceries was painful. Like, we were trying to for the ladies out there, I wasn't being able to get my hair done. I mean, there was no manicures. There was no niceties. Like we cut everything out. I mean, we cut it out fast. And so with the real estate, you know, we both looked at each other one day and we're like, you know, do we need to go out and get jobs? Like, you know, what do you got to do? And so we just, you know, honestly, we were on our knees every night praying to the good Lord above to drag us through this thing and put us in the right direction. We were open to a career move at that point if we had to. It wasn't really what we wanted to do, but we knew that we had to do what we had to do. So we just put it out there. We laid it all out and we were like, you know, Lord, where are we going? Where are we going? And we ran into a lady. Or Matt, did you meet her? Or did I meet?
No, she was stalking you for months.
Oh, yes. So we met a lady.
I want to hear that story. So
yeah. Well, she was a team leader for Keller Williams, and wonderful, amazing lady. But you know, it's about quota there. You know, so she would target agents that she liked and whatever. So she stalked us for a while during this time, and thank heavens that she did. She was a total angel and blessing to our life and to our business when she came on. And we met her and we coached with her for a while before we ever moved our license to Keller Williams. So we went RE/MAX. This is our whole journey, you know, RE/MAX, Keller Williams. And that was a tough move. When I had to go into somebody's office that I cared about, that I loved, I'd known since I was 2 years old, and say, hey, our family's hurting and we have to make a switch. And I had to go back twice, you know, to get my license moved. But we coached with Paula for quite a while, made the move to Keller Williams. It was
January 2009. So we moved over.
This is my numbers guy. I would have been like, I don't know. It was, you know, 12
I remember that. I
years
don't
ago.
know, but I do remember that.
Well, I mean, it was kind of a pivot for us. You know, we're trying to figure out what to do. And
when you got over there, what was it? Everything like you guys expected, you know, because they're like the old guard, right? Keller Williams, without a doubt, are the old guard, right?
Totally.
Yeah. And they were, in 2009, I bet, Jay and I were joking the other day. In 2007, I was in Iraq, so I didn't really experience a lot of the downturn. I wasn't even in the game, real estate, right? I was like, didn't know anything. I heard about it, but no clue. So 2009, Keller Williams was probably whooping butt, right?
They were, you know, RE/MAX, the balloon was sailing off into the oblivion, and Keller Williams had come on the scene with education and support. And, you know, it's like, you know, you can watch real estate as it evolves, you know, and the way I kind of look at it is like back in the 80s, everybody had their gold jackets. Century 21 was rocking it out. You know, everybody wanted that gold jacket, right? So then the balloon floats on the same, RE/MAX takes over, and everybody, it does evolve, and you have to move as things evolve. And then, you know, Keller comes on the scene with all these new tools and options and things, and like in 2000-ish, you know, and, you know, we recognized it and made the shift. And we were very successful there. We learned a lot. And at one point, we really thought that we wanted to own several offices, market centers for that company. And again, thank the Lord in heaven above that we did not do that. Yeah. Because we tried and he got in our way. And thank you that he did, because we'd be sitting with a bunch of sticks and bricks right now. And
no, we were
not good.
We were investors in multiple offices.
We were.
And that's where we got involved with that and learned the whole backside of the financials of how those market centers and offices.
Yeah, we were owners.
So we got in there and we're planning to take it, or thought at one time, take it to the next level and own several of them, or be like
predominant owner, like the operating partners of more than one.
Sharon, and you know, I know we're live, so just tell me to shut up, right? If you want to use a cuss word, go for it. I don't know. But so do you mind sharing? Were you guys a profitable market center?
Just barely.
Okay.
There were some months that we went when we first started there. It was it was losing money each month. Yeah. But somewhere around 2011 or 12, I think it started. It had a really good run of making money each month, and some of that's a numbers game, to be honest with you. But it wasn't a lot, you know. So it may make the market center may have made $1,000, may have made $5,000 a month, nothing substantial. But you know, the big thing about the profit share, not the profit share. Yeah, it's a profit share at
Yeah.
Keller Williams. They sell, and it's a good system in theory. But in order for the agents to make money on the profit share, the market center has to be profitable. So if the market center makes $1,000 that month, they got $500 they can share between hundreds of agents. That's not going to go very far.
Right. And honestly, when we moved to Keller, we found something great. So we told people about it, and we grew our profit share tree. And it was a good thing. When you find a good thing, you want to share it with somebody, right? It's not a sales pitch. It's not anything like that. And it was a good thing. And that was where we were. And that was one of the reasons that we considered taking it further. And we took it far enough that we were owners in two market centers, but we weren't the predominant owners. So our goal was to get bigger and do that. But thank heavens we did not, because that model is dead. That model is not relevant anymore. It's everybody's coming away from that model. But Matt and I were very involved. Matt is a he won't brag on himself, but like his background's in finance and economics. He was going to be a stockbroker, and decided he didn't want to wear a suit and tie every day. I don't know where he missed the part of stockbroker that linked to that, going into it. But so he dug into these numbers, and he knows. And that was actually one of the reasons how we ended up at EXP, is because Matt is into the numbers. And so he was constantly into the financials for the market centers, because, he wanted to make sure that things were being run correctly, but also, if we weren't profitable, if the market center as a whole wasn't profitable, then our profit share that we had grown wasn't going to be profitable either, so he stayed on top of that for sure.
So you guys came under Jay. So we all know Jay, and Jay's like very persistent and consistent, and, really high energy. It's kind of scary sometimes because my 6-year-old has the same level of energy as he does.
I wish I had about half of his energy, right?
I know. I'm like, dang, dude, just slow down for a minute. But so what did that process look like? Did you guys jump on board immediately, or did you guys take a look over a course of time? And how long?
I'd say, the last 5 years we were with KW, we had our own office, so it was a mega agent office, what they called it. We're just doing our thing. We were kind of disconnected from the main offices and whatever. And so we were looking, why are we with KW? They're a great company, but we're just doing our own thing.
It was time for the next step. And
we were looking for something different.
Right. We were Remax 5 years. We were KW for 10 years. And really, like Matt said, the last 5 years at KW, we were looking for something else. Not as hard as we should have been looking, because we could have found EXP a lot sooner. But we
talk about it. We talk about opening our own brokerage, which was nothing to do except drop the KW.
Like that's all we had to do. We were to the point where we could do that. And that was actually our plan.
Because we wanted to do several things. We wanted to bring, if an agent wanted to come on as an agent, we wanted to let them come on. If we wanted to expand to a different state, we want to do that. But it really, with KW, it limited us to a lot of those things that we thought we might potentially want to do.
Yeah, we didn't
know what to do. We
had our own office, like our own office. It was called a mega agency office, but we like the idea of being surrounded by other really high-minded agents. I'm like, Matt, I want to bring other agents into this office so that I can see them every day, talk to them every day, have that camaraderie. But Keller Williams wouldn't let us do it because they had to go under me. Well, I didn't want agents under me. I wanted agents with me, linking arms with me. Like I wanted them in the office doing their own business, but I wanted us to be able to mastermind and have high-minded real estate conversations about what do you do about this and what do you do about that? People that really understood that there's enough business to go around and that we could work together, not against each other. And we didn't have to work together as you're on my team, type thing, which is it's a big thing that KW, and I'm not dogging KW. They were good, and they were good for us at the time. But the company hasn't evolved. And what they taught us how to build a team, I wouldn't recommend using that model now to anybody. So
what do you mean take 50% of everything they bring in, and you're the team lead and they're your team member, and right? There's no like family there. We're just like, I love it here that everybody's a partner. Like, let's just all be partners. We're in this together. I can call anybody from any organization or revenue share. And they're like, yeah, just book on my calendar. Let's do a 30-minute call. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't think I would get that anywhere else. Like, I started real estate 29 months ago. I've had some good success, but I've had success not from just we're in the same organization, right? And I've haven't learned just from our organization. Everybody's just been willing to give me their tools and insight and knowledge. And it's been, I have nothing. When people ask me, they're like, all right, well, give me one thing that you don't like. I'm like, I don't know, right? I've never had a bad experience, right? And if I did, it was resolved like that, right? It wasn't like, oh, you're just being a crybaby or something like that, but I've never had a serious issue. So,
well, and it's not one of those, yeah, and it's one of those things that I totally agree. Like, somebody's like, give me a negative about EXP. And so far I haven't found any. Have we had snags and different things? Yeah. I mean, that's with any transition or any company, but overall what they offer and what we get here, I mean, there's nothing else like it.
On the teams thing, the team's idea is not a bad idea, but the problem was where it limited you into a box. And one thing with EXP, you can still have your teams, but you have options to build it any way you want to build it. They can be direct team members. They don't be any way you want.
That was the big thing for us, is we needed options. We didn't need rules that we were trying to stay within, which is where we were. We needed options to be able to help other agents. I like helping other agents. I like bringing people into the real estate industry and helping them grow. But with Keller, all we could do is bring them in on our team, help them grow. And then it was like this awkward breakup. With EXP, I don't have to have an awkward breakup. Like, you can come in any way that you want. I can still help you. I can still help you grow. You can be on my team. You can just be in my network. And we can just work together like as colleagues, not as you're under me or I'm over you or I'm under you, all this like ownership of a person. And that's what drove me crazy, is because if we truly want to be a team, then you've got to be about your team members. And that also means being willing to let them go and let them grow. And EXP gives you the opportunity to do that in a way that benefits everybody. And it cuts out all the awkwardness of the I'm on your team, I'm off your team. And that's where we struggled. We stayed in that place for years where we had turnover and turnover and turnover, because you will with your teams. And if you think you won't, don't start a team, because it will drive you absolutely nuts. And then it's, if I had found EXP 5 years ago, all the team members that rolled on and off would still be right here doing their own thing, but that's the big, that was huge for us when we learned about EXP.
I do have a question, and I'm like a squirrel, Marty, so it may just go in the cloud if I don't ask you guys. Yeah. So did you guys, when you guys transitioned, did a lot of people come with you, or what did that kind of look like?
Honestly, we had detached from the main market center quite a bit. We just were not happy with the things that were happening there. They weren't in line with the KW model. They weren't in line with what was written on the walls, the integrity and the do the right thing and all that. So we had kind of detached from it. And that's why we were really looking for something new, but we weren't just going to make a move to make a move. It was going to be a good move, and it was going to be the right move. So that's why we kind of ran in place for 5 years. But over here at our little office, we very rarely went into the market center those last 4 or 5 years, occasionally. So when we made the move, I mean, we were so detached at that time. Then, it was just, we came, and then 2 agents came with us. Of course we got our office manager, but, it was just, our transition for us was, we were so excited to get started. Of course we had some housekeeping. We couldn't move as quickly as we wanted, because we did have ownership. So we had to work through the selling of our ownership, very strategically before we made the move. And,
it was a fire sale.
I did at
a loss.
It was a fire sale at a loss, but we made that money back in about 10 seconds with EXP.
Okay, I did want to ask about that, but I know a little bit of your story offline, and I didn't want to bring it up. But now that you guys just brought it up,
We're kind of an open book, Andrew.
Yeah, no, and I never want to put anybody on the spot, right? I mean, we're live, right? So I can be very direct sometimes, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't ask that question. But what do you mean a loss, right? I mean, it's $1 you paid. Let's just say ideally you paid $50K to get into a market center. You got $50K back, right?
Right. So
you said you took a loss, so I'm trying to gauge how that happens.
Explain what loss means.
From what we originally paid in and what our shares, they calculate shares based on profit and different things, share price there. And they have a method for doing it, a formula for doing it. So the formula for doing it, and a lot of the rules have been changed over the last 2 or 3 years before that, really without anybody's knowing. But that's a whole different story. But anyway,
different podcast.
And so what the values of those shares should have been was an amount, but they had loopholes for nobody had to buy them. But if you made the move out, if we left, then we were forced to sell them at a way discount in order to or forfeit them. So they kind of get you locked in.
Is that a KW rule, or is that like a area or regional type? I
don't know if it comes from international. Probably comes from international down to the regional, and then it's in each operating agreement within each market center. But they had it to where we had to make some sort of an agreement, some sort of a deal with somebody within that area, within that market center, to buy these shares. So we sold them at a loss of what they were valued at a loss of what we had in them, for that matter, in order to get out and be done.
Yeah.
So, but reality is we made that money up so many more times in the next 12 months. It was crazy. So
I would dare say we made that money up in about 12 minutes. Matt's the numbers guy, so he's probably closer to that. But yeah, we knew, and we knew when we made the decision, we made the decision very quickly we were going to move, but then we had to map out a plan of how to get out of our shares at Keller Williams, what that looked like, and how we could strategically do that at a minimal loss, because we knew that the value, you have to, like Matt said, the value of the shares, and then we had to make a deal, and then, but we were ready to go. So we did that as quickly as we could so that we could get where we were going. And best move ever, best loss. I'd take it again 10 times over. If we could have made that move quicker, we would have. But we didn't know about EXP. I had never heard of it. I had no idea. And it was funny because, we would get contacted by people all the time, take a look at this or take a look at that. And, I don't look at it as somebody trying to sell me something. Maybe I'm interested in what they've got to say. Yeah. Maybe I just want to have that knowledge to know what's happening, in other companies. I never looked at it as, somebody trying to sell me something or get me to do something, but people contact us all of the time, check out this or look at that. I was actually flattered that people would think of us to want to share something that they found that they thought was valuable. So that was, but we had never heard of EXP. So I was kind of surprised that no one had shared that with us before now. We work with the American Dream TV show. Jay and Ashley also work with we're working with the American Dream show at that time. So we were passing each other quite a bit. We were running the same little groups. So I noticed one day, and I did not know Jay or Ashley personally. I knew who they were. I think Jay and I got.
He was a yeehaw guy.
Yeah, he was a yeehaw guy or the yeehaw guy. Yeah, he was this crazy dude. I didn't even know if I like him, And but we were on the same social media platform, same friends, So his stuff came across all the time, and I'm like, what is this EXP crap that he's spitting? I don't even know what that is. He was like the Remax yeehaw guy. What's happening? And Matt goes, oh, that's EXP Realty.
Well, the first time I heard about it, this is interestingly enough, at one of the family reunions I think Gary Keller was making a speech and he was kind of dogging EXP. I was like, well, I don't know what EXP is. And so,
but that tweaked Matt's interest because he thought if it's got Gary's attention, then obviously this is something to look at.
Yeah. If he's talking about it, something's going on. I looked it up. All of a sudden, they're a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. They're growing. I was like, well, that's interesting. So we started.
I never picked up on any of that.
We started following that a little bit, and then we were on the show, and we noticed that Jay and Ashley were doing it. So, well, one night, me and Marty were just talking about, you know what? Let's just call Jay and see what it's about.
I told Matt, he was like, yeah. Like Matt was sitting there and he had known about at least what the company was. I had no clue. I'm like, what is this? What's the EXP thing? I didn't know what, Matt was like, oh, that's, it's a cloud-based real estate brokerage, blah, blah, blah. And he had some knowledge of it. I'm just thinking, and you did not share this with me? Why? So I was like, call Jay, like just text him, call him, something like, he'll tell us about it. He's spouting it all over. Like, let's just meet with him. So Matt called Jay and he's like, hey, bud, and Jay didn't really know us that well either. And so Matt just set up a meeting. I'm like, let's meet with him. Let's talk to him. Like, I want to know. I don't like not being in the know.
Yeah. I love know what's going on, what other companies are doing. And, I'm nosy. If I don't know something, I'm just like, no, just tell me, right? If somebody reaches out to me, tell me their potion, lotion, whatever, I'm going to listen to them, right? Because what if it's something I want to use, right? So that's awesome. So you've been with EXP how long now?
It was a little over a year ago.
Okay.
That was, our 1 year anniversary was in January. So what day? I don't even know what day it is. Is it March?
Nice.
Are we April yet? Is it?
You guys
like a year and 2-3 months.
Nice. You guys are still crushing it. How's that production been? How's life now?
Yeah, our day-to-day business is pretty much the same, right?
Yeah,
so that part hadn't changed. We were pretty new when when the Corona thing hit. But it didn't affect us at all because everything was online. There was, people weren't going to closings, but we do it just like we do it now anyway.
That was the thing when we switched it was late December, early January. And then all that craziness happened in March. So, but it was funny because a friend of mine used to say, the Lord takes care of idiots and little children. Well, we ain't little children. So, the timing of it, I would love to say like, we predicted this coming, so we made this shift, but now that's crap. Yeah. It was a blessing that we did that because once all that happened and everything was shutting down, people were closing houses and their cars and all this garbage, everything EXP was made for that. Yeah. Like we never worried about a check or where it was going to go or how it was going to get there. All that stuff was digital anyway. Everything we never missed a beat. We weren't beating down the market center doors trying to get our checks. Like who's coming in? How are we getting this? Everything, all that was streamlined. So we were just business as usual, other than making the necessary, alterations to work around things that were happening in the world. But overall, that was, we looked at each other and I'm like, I would love to say we were just so smart, but no.
I do, before we close it up, because I know I think you guys have another one of these in about 27 minutes, right? So
going live again. Y'all gonna be sick of us today.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to see that one. I always watch y'all's episodes. So I do want to backtrack a little bit, take the focus off any brokerage. I just want to talk about the real estate market for a second, because you guys went through 2007 to 2009. And do you guys, and I'm going to ask you a crystal ball question. So, do you guys see any correlation with what's happening with the appreciation? Do you see a bubble happening possibly, or what are your guys' predictions? And then I know this is just an opinion, so I'm not going to mark it down as facts. So,
yeah, I wish we knew. I wish I knew the answer to that. Right. So there's several things that are very happening right now that are very familiar to us, especially on the construction side. From 2006 and 7. But as I look at a lot of that, there's a lot of different variables as well. Back then, job growth and people moving into our city wasn't anything like it is now. So we're, a lot of our, I think a lot of our demand issue and supply issue is because we're talking to people every week coming from out of town into Middle Tennessee.
California and New York.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Everybody on the West Coast, and everybody's got a different story. They're trying to get out of there. They're looking at Tennessee, Florida, and Texas. Where are they going to go? And so we're seeing all these people.
Give us some, we need some food. So, but
you're buried in 40 feet of snow. Nobody is moving to Colorado right now. No,
I don't even want to talk about it right now. I'm like so disappointed. 1 minute 75, then the next it's 30. Like I walked out this morning, it was 25 degrees. I'm like,
no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I know. It's beautiful. We do love to visit. And we love to snow ski out there. It's awesome. But I was going to say the same thing as Matt. There's a lot of similarities. But one of the things that we've noticed are the big differences. And that's what we've looked for in this market are the differences. And the differences between now and then are exactly what Matt said. Nashville's popularity and the affordability of living in this area were not the case back then. We had a supply and demand problem when things were booming back then. There was a lack of supply. Right now we have an overabundance of buyers which is creating that lack of supply. That wasn't really the situation back then. It was more just the supply and keeping up that way. This time it's
well, the supply now though is what I'm more concerned about really.
Right.
It's because from a builder standpoint, the cost of materials is going in crazy. Even if you can get different things.
Yeah.
Lumber's jacked up. Some appliances, you got to wait 6 months for you can get all the different issues going around the world of different things that are slowing the supply chain down, and that's creating more of a problem and increasing prices. So, the affordability. Yeah,
but the differences that I'm seeing are just the influx of people, the popularity in Nashville. Right. That's the biggest difference of what's happened, because the same thing happened back in 07, 08 when it all kind of crashed out. We're having hurricanes. You couldn't get OSB, you couldn't get lumber, and that was jacking prices up. Remember right before that. Mm-hmm. So those are similarities that we're seeing, but we're having even more world challenges that are increasing. So yeah, I totally agree with what Matt's saying. I don't know that.
And of course, you had the big mortgage issue.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I had a huge that mortgage issue created a lot of that problem. So again, people who shouldn't have been buying were buying. So you had a lot of different issues then that are very different from now.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of similarities. I see a lot of differences, but given the differences between now and then, I see the Nashville real estate market, but it's not just in Nashville. Everybody we talk to across the country, their real estate markets are crazy booming. Yeah. I don't see it busting. I see it leveling. I think it's going to level. It has to, but you have to think too, Matt and I lived through that downturn of the market. And because, we were 12 back then when we were selling real estate. But I didn't want to show our age there, but now I'm just seeing that. I lost my train of thought, but I guess what I was trying to say is that with the influx of people coming into Nashville, that bubble and given the differences, I don't see it being a bubble that bursts. I see it being a leveling out of prices because we were rebounding from that.
Yeah, a little slowdown here would not be a bad thing.
No.
I think what we got are a good market. I think is still sustainable for several years here. It cannot continue to do what we're doing now, just prices going up and fighting over all these houses. But I think a little slowdown and leveling will be a good thing.
Yeah, crazy, like 60 over asking price, $20,000+ appraisal gap. I'm like, dang, it's like just needs to.
It's bizarre. We cannot sustain that, and I don't think that we will. But you got to think before it took us a year to get where we are now. The market was booming before our crazy crisis, but it didn't slow down. And then what happens, I feel like, and this is what we saw here in Nashville, and you may have seen something different. There was good inventory, and it was still a seller's market. It was doing really well, but it wasn't like it is now. So when the crisis came and everybody went bonkers, I think existing home sales, like people stopped selling their existing homes. So the people that were influxing in, they moved to the new construction because that was the easiest route to go. Well, then they sucked up all the new construction inventory. Yep. And so now we're coming back where people are selling their homes again, their existing homes. And it's just like, I mean, it's bonkers, but that will level out as the builders catch up and as people start to sell their homes again. But it took us a year to get here. So I'm thinking 6 months to a year to level out. But I think I'm like Matt, a level, stable market is great. And I think that's where we'll end up. I mean, there was always downturns, but you got to think coming off the last downturn of what we went backwards for 8 years at least. So we had a big rebound to make up from. So I feel like it rebounded back. And then, so it looks like the prices went crazy fast, but we were really, some of that was catching up, was rebounding.
Do you,
now
last question, and then I'll let you guys go. Are you guys going to Puerto Rico?
Yeah,
yes.
We'll be there.
Heck yeah, I'm going to be there too.
Right?
I get there on the 10th. So yeah, cool. I'm excited to, I know we didn't get any time to hang out in Tennessee, right, at Gatlinburg. Hopefully we get to share some margaritas and, hang out, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited. So
you're speaking my language now.
We're looking forward to that.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your guys' time. I know it's very valuable. You guys are just as busy. I mean, everybody's busy right now. So just to take 40 minutes out of your day to hop on here and with me and, the world. And if there's anything we can do for you in Colorado, we'd love to. And then vice versa for Tennessee. So.
Absolutely. Appreciate
it. Thanks for having us. This was great.
Thank you.